The book of life has already been written. Everything that will ever happen in your life, everything that has ever happened, and everything that is happening right now has already been written. In fact, on the highest planes, everything happens all at the same time. If you have researched a lot about destiny, karma, you come to this realization that control is an illusion. Like, you, as this ego, has no control over anything. And this is not disempowering. This is very empowering, and I will tell you why. Because what is the ego? The ego is not just being arrogant or ignorant. The ego is your identification with this character. Like, my name is Stefan Petrov. I do this and this and this in life. I live here. I have these kinds of friends and so on. This character is the ego, believing that I am this character. This is essentially what the ego is. That ego, that character that you're playing in this life, has zero control over destiny, over how your life will unfold. Now, to someone who has these grandiose ambitions and wants to achieve a lot and wants to like make it happen, like keep pushing, make it happen, I will make it happen. To someone who is in that stage, which I know that stage very well, this idea that everything is predetermined, and in fact everything that will ever happen has already happened, because past, present, future happen all at the same time from a higher viewpoint. This is very disempowering to people in that stage, because they would just love to believe that they're in control of everything. And this is where achieving something can actually be a downfall. Why? Because it's giving you more of the illusion of control. Like, I pushed so hard, I worked so hard, and I made this happen. I made it happen. So you see how by achieving it, it strengthens your sense of control. Now, I'm not anti-achievement. I'm not anti-desires and so on. All I'm trying to say is that you recognize this truth that everything happens according to divine plan, so to say. And if you worry about things a lot, if you have fears about the future, or you have regret about the past, this is where this realization, this teaching of remembering that destiny is all and destiny cannot be changed. It doesn't matter how hard you try, it cannot be changed. Whatever is destined to happen will happen, and you cannot stop it. Realizing this gives you sense of relaxation. It gives you peace, because now what's happening is you're being invited to trust. You're being invited to trust something higher than what you are in this game called life, which is the character that you're playing. You're being invited to trust in a higher force. You can call that force God, you can call it the divine, you can call it the universe, you can call it your deeper self. They're all true. They're all true. But do you realize that there is something divine, something beyond what we are in this body, that is at work all the time? Do you truly realize this? If you do, then why would you think If the divine has already written the entire book of life and existence, why would you think and believe that you, as this human ego persona, would have some control over the unfolding of life? If the book has already been written, which the highest teachings you can find, they're pointing to that truth, and some even say it directly, like I am saying it here. Why would you think that this ego has some control over it? Well, if you do believe that, it's because the ego doesn't want to let go. The ego is scared of not being needed, so to say. The ego is scared because the moment you realize that everything is destiny and the book has already been written, then all the thoughts, all the desires, all the projections, everything that you have becomes basically nonsense. It becomes useless. And the ego doesn't like that. And also conditioning. Like, look at the society we live in nowadays. It's everywhere you turn, at every corner in this world, everyone is strengthening the ego, the illusion of control. So that's how most of us were brought up. That's how most of us were taught to think and to believe that we have control over life. But if you have a higher awareness and you actually observe life, your life, as a scientist, and you catch the subtleties of everything, you will see that the decisions you make and the effort you do, they do not really come by you forcing them. They just happen. If you have the inclination to make some effort to achieve something, first stop and ask yourself, why do you have that inclination? Did you made it up? Why are you drawn towards certain things? Did you program yourself in that way? No, you didn't. So that's all karma that's sitting dormant within you that wants to be expressed. And that's why you feel drawn towards certain things, be it achieving something or to teachings like this one. This is why you're drawn, because to these things, whatever they may be, it's because karmic seeds need to play out. And by these karmic seeds playing out is how your destiny unfolds. So worrying and having fear about anything basically is useless. Why? Because it doesn't change anything. It doesn't matter how much you worry about something, how much you fear the future, or how much regret you have of past so-called mistakes. These things essentially don't do anything. They're just the mind playing tricks on you. Well, okay, if we realize that Maya, which is the illusion of this reality, is so strong, and you realize that Maya is what makes you believe that you're in control, but you deeply realize that it's just an illusion. Everything has already been written, everything is predetermined, and in fact, it has already happened, but we're in space and time right now, so it seems like it's unfolding, but it has already unfolded like in an instant. But that's the game, to be bound to space and time for a while. If you realize this deeply, what do you do with your life? Well, that's a question that no one can answer for you. That's a question that you don't even necessarily need to ask. You don't need to sit down and contemplate, what am I going to do with my life? Why? Because again, that question, what do I want to do with my life, still implies that you have a conscious decision, you have a control over what you will do with your life. Does this mean that you sit all day and do nothing and let just life present you things on a silver plate? Well, no, because that's not how life works. You still need to play your part. You still need to engage. But now you don't have so many projections about the future. You don't overplan every single detail. Why? Because you've tried that, first of all, and you've seen through it that the more you plan and life crushes your plans, it's the coffee machine. If you hear it, I'm sorry. Um, you think that by planning more, you will somehow like change things, and you've seen through that it doesn't matter how hard you plan, things just happen however they want to happen, which in itself is a blessing in disguise. When your plans get crushed by life, that's a blessing. It's a blessing because it shows you truth. It shows you that you were never in control, not as this human character that you're playing. That human character is not in control. So you see through that. This is how a blessing could be a curse, and a curse could be a blessing. Because if you would say that you plan to achieve something in your life, you plan to do something, and then it comes to fruition, it happens, it's a blessing, right? But it creates more illusion because you think, you believe that you made it happen. On the other hand, if you plan everything and it doesn't matter how hard you try, life keeps crushing your plans like again and again and again, you see how this dissolves ego. It dissolves ego because it shows you that there is divine hand at work all the time, and you are not really the one who does everything. So that's how a blessing can be a curse and a curse can be a blessing. Now, I'm not saying that planning something and then you see it coming to fruition is somehow only a curse. There is, you know, the yin and yang sign. In the yin and yang sign, there is light and there is shadow. And within the shadow, there is a little light. And within the light, there is a little shadow. I love that symbol because it's so true on this dimension that we live in. Because nothing here is one-sided. Everything has two sides, if not even many sides. So, to go back now to destiny and karma and the unfolding of your life, the best thing to do is to sense how your life force moves you. And I've talked about this many times on this channel, but it's just important to realize it, to see it for yourself, that the life force within you will make you do things, and it's right now making you watch this video. It's flowing in that direction, and you cannot change where your life force is guiding you. You cannot change where your life force is flowing, in which direction. There is only two things you can do. Life force is flowing in a certain direction. It makes you do certain things or it makes you avoid certain things. So it's flowing in a direction. The two things you can do is you either resist it or you cooperate with it. And you probably know what I'm going to say next. Cooperate with it. Don't resist it. But people tend to resist the natural flow of their life force because of their projections, because of their fantasies, because of, no, this is not supposed to happen in my life. I want this to happen. So I'm going to force my life force to move in another direction. Well, let me tell you that this only works temporarily. It's not something that you can sustain long term. You can try to shift your life force, but it will always return because the life force is stronger than the mind and the ego. Because the life force is what sustains the body and the mind. Without the life force, you're not here. Without the life force, the body is dead. It's nothing. The life force is the sustaining power of every single process within you. And it's not you as this character that can control the life force. The life force will naturally flow in some direction in your life, and you just need to cooperate with that, which people call that following your heart or listening to your intuition, listening to your gut feeling. It's all the same thing. It's life force flowing in a direction, and you, instead of resisting, you cooperate with that. You go with that. You follow your heart, so to say. It's the life force. The more you can be aware of that reality, that life force does whatever has come here to do on this plane of existence, and you cooperate with that, which means that you cooperate with the destiny, you cooperate with God's will, you cooperate with the unfolding of your life, you stop resisting it. Why? Because there is no point in resisting it. You just create more suffering. And then here is the illusion of the journey. It seems like you're on a journey, you're following your intuition, you're allowing life force to move you, you are following your heart. So you're on a journey, it seems like it. Realizing that this journey has already been written, and if you're resisting your life force, that has already been written too, that you resist that life force for a while, and then you see how powerless you are over your own life force. And then no other choice is left. You have to cooperate. And it will take you sometimes into directions that you don't know what will play out. You don't know the specific outcome of you going, cooperating with the direction of your life force. You don't necessarily see the outcome. But what can you do about it? The outcome will not be visible in your mind, because that's how life was designed. It was designed to appear like there is someone who is on a journey, who is evolving, who is going through the motions. So that's the happening of life. So cooperate with that. But remember that every choice you ever make, it was already made. Every action that you will take has already been taken. So don't fear, don't worry. And I know this is easier said than done, but the only way I have found out to let go of worry and fear, which is something that it's an inner work process. It's not that you realize this truth and then worry and fear disappear. It's more like an inner work process. You evolve, so to say. That's the journey. That's life. The more and the deeper you realize that the book of life has already been written, everything has already happened, and you're just experiencing that happening, that destiny which you came here to experience. The deeper you get, the deeper you realize this, and the deeper understanding you gain of that truth, the more worry, fear, and all these poisons of the mind automatically dissolve. Because why should you fear if you deeply understand and realize that destiny will prevail always and nothing can happen outside of God's will? Why would you resist anything? The only thing that is now left, because you've tried everything else, and now the only thing that is left is to cooperate with the unfolding of your life. Once you get to that stage, something internally shifts, and you no longer see yourself, the people around you, life, everything. There is a great internal shift that has occurred because you've realized this truth. And now the way you move through life becomes different. You live a more peaceful existence. And let me tell you that every single person is looking for peace, but 99% of society does not know that. Society, for the most part, thinks that if I achieve this goal, if I get this thing, yeah, then I'll feel good. But you see, what's underneath of I want to achieve this thing is I want to feel good. That's what's behind it. And to feel good, you need to be at peace. So you think that you will finally feel good about yourself, about your life by getting this thing. But what you realize that if you get it, you still don't feel good. Why? Because peace and feeling good requires inner work. It has nothing to do with external life. If you have your basic needs met, you're already at a very good spot. And to get more than that, okay, if it's your destiny, it will happen anyway. But if it's not your destiny, you cannot make it happen. And if it is your destiny, you cannot avoid it. So remember this truth, remind yourself daily of that. Make that be one of your spiritual practices, to remember that destiny is all, and everything that happens is the will of the divine, is God's will, the universe's will, and nothing happens outside of that will. Everything that you experience is in accordance with the will of the divine. So remember that, and just by you remembering that, already there is a profound transformation that will start taking place internally. Because the more you remember that, the more ego will start dissolving. And the more ego dissolves, the more the illusion of control dissolves. The more the illusion of control dissolves, the more worry, fear, and anxiety they fade away. I'm not saying that you have a trouble-free life. That's not what I'm saying. You will have troubles, you will have difficulties. That's the journey. But the way you approach and understand these things becomes completely different. You realize that this trouble is part of your destiny, and it was specifically designed for you to make you awaken, to awaken you. Because everything, every adversity that is happening in your life or will ever happen has one single purpose, which is to awaken you to truth, or awaken you to yourself, or to the divine's will, or however you want to put truth into words. It's all the same thing, it's the one truth. So yeah, that's it for today. Check out my blog if you like to. I post there. I try to do regularly at least. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.